Okay, so I'm going to make a video on how to properly hang a hammock. And so one of the first things you want to do is find a set of trees that are about 12 to 15 feet apart. That seems to work best for these 11-foot hammocks. This particular type of strap has an eye sewn in it, and what you do is take the strap, go around the tree, and then you'll run the strap, the whole strap, and this one's a 12-foot one. Run it through there and then tighten it up. One of the things you don't want to do is see how it makes a sharp bend going out to the hammock. Puts a lot of extra stress on the strap that's really unnecessary. What you want to do is spin it around a little bit so that the line coming off here is more straight. You're still going to have some kind of bend in it, otherwise the strap's going to loosen, but you want to keep that bend as minimum as possible. The downside to running it through the eye like this is that, especially with this suspension on this hammock, it's a cinch buckle suspension. So I have to do this, run the strap through the eye, have to run this through the hammock and adjust the cinch buckle, and then adjust that. Then set up my hammock, and if I decide that the hammock is too low or too high, and I need to raise up the suspension, well, if there's a tree branch in the way, now I've got to undo this whole thing. I've got to take it off of the hammock. I've got to run it back through the eye of the strap, and then got to raise or lower it, get around that tree branch, and then redo the whole process again. A way that's a little bit easier to do that is by using a carabiner. This is a cheap carabiner for your keychains or something like that. You buy them at gas stations. You don't want to use these. You want to get something that's rated for a few hundred pounds at least, or even like the climbing rated ones or something. If you use the cheap ones like these, the stress of it pulling apart like that, it can actually break this piece that's called the gate, and it can bend the carabiner out more, and could cause the suspension to fail and everything. So stay away from the cheap ones if you're going to use a carabiner. Get a good quality, at least a few hundred pounds. And if you hear me say D-ring instead of carabiner, it's the same thing, it's just a different name for them. So I used to do a lot of rock climbing and rappelling, and we always called them D-rings. So with this, clip it through the eye, and you could leave it like that when you roll up the strap. Just leave it on there all the time. Now all you got to do is open up the gate and lock your strap in. Same thing, you don't want a sharp bend here. You want to move it around the tree a little bit better. And now you hook up your hammock to the strap, and if you decide you need to raise or lower it, and there's a tree branch in the way or something, instead of unhooking it from the hammock and running the strap all the way through, all you got to do is just unclip it, move it to where you need to move it, and reclip it back, and you're done. It's a whole lot faster. So now I'm going to go over to the other side of the tree, the other tree, and do the same for that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what this is a cinch buckle. I'm going to show you, and it's attached to the continuous loop on the end of the hammock. I'm going to show you how this works. It's got a bar here. One of the things you need to make sure is right is once you get the strap hooked up, you don't want the bar crooked like that, because then it could cause the strap not to grip very well, and then once you get in it, it could just slide down, and you'd end up sitting on the ground. So once the strap's hooked up, you want the bar straight. So I'll show you now how to do that. So you take your strap, run it through the bottom. Try to keep your strap flat where it's not twisted around, and then drop the bar down and run it back up through the top. See what I mean? Is as nice as these cinch buckles are, easy to adjust and stuff. If you had to do all this, if you had the strap run through the eye, and you had to do all this to get it right, and then found out you needed to raise it up a few inches, and you had to undo it to slide it up on the tree higher, and it's kind of a hassle. But So using a carabiner kind of makes it a whole lot easier. Once you got this done, you don't have to do any of this again. You just unclip the carabiner and move it where you need to move it and reattach it. So this is locked in place. You can pull on it, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's easy to adjust. If you need to, you just pick up some of the weight of the hammock and slide it up. And then if you need to go down, just tilt it back a little bit and it'll slide down. Really nice and easy to adjust. I really like them. And what some people will do is they'll take this end of the rope and they'll make a loop and just make it a little slip knot, just like that. Tighten it down, and now you know it's not going to go anywhere. That's after you got it adjusted, make sure everything's right, and then you can do that. And to loosen it, just pull it, it pops right out, and you're ready to go. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, whenever you're hooking up the straps, you're kind of hugging the tree, especially the bigger trees. So you want to make sure that, what I like to do, especially in the summertime when the snakes are out, I walk around the tree real quick, just make sure there's no snakes or big spiders or whatever hanging around the tree. I don't want to reach around and scare one and have it come around right to my face. So I double check that and make sure there's no snakes hanging out. And now, just kind of guess about where it's going to go. Our hammocks are double-ended, the stuff sacks. So with this end attached to the tree strap, that tree strap's already hooked up. All I gotta do is open up this end, and then I can pull the hammock out and run it right over to the tree. And then the same way I hooked up the other one, go underneath the bar, and then drop the bar down and bring it back up through above the bar. Okay, so now I got it hung, but I need to adjust a little bit. It's more to that side and it's up a little bit higher than what I want, so I'm going to loosen that end and then tighten this end up a little bit. So now I've got it kind of where I want it. So the next thing I need to do is I want to sit in it. Make sure the hammock's not twisted up. You want it this height that's comfortable to sit down in. Like this is a little low. I'd like it to have it a little bit higher. But right now, while I'm sitting in it, I'm going to check the ridge line. And that's this piece up here. So what you do is when you're laying in it, just reach up, grab the ridge line, and just see if it's got a little. You want it tight, but not like guitar string tight. You want to have some flex in the line. And if that's good like it is, then you could just leave it. I would like to hang it up a little bit higher off the ground, but so that's how you hang it. And I'm going to do another video on the ridge line and the continuous loops and different types of suspensions. But one thing I want to look at is I want to show you with the tree straps, what you're going for is like a 30-degree angle. So when you hold your fingers up here, like an L, what you're looking for is for your thumb. You hold this horizontal to the ground, and your thumb to touch, and then the strap to touch your finger too. And what I like to do is I found if I leave that a little high, once I get in the hammock, then the suspension's about right. So that's how you kind of guesstimate a 30-degree angle. And you want a 30-degree angle because then everything works right. The ridge line is the right tension, and the straps are the right tension. The more straight you go with the straps, the more weight you're putting on the straps, on the trees, on the hammocks, and all that kind of stuff, the way physics and everything work. A 150-pound person with a 30-degree strap, the strap set up at 30 degrees, you're putting about 150 pounds on the straps, on the hammocks, on the trees and everything. But as you lower this down to straight, flat, that same 150-pound person could put almost 900 pounds of pressure on the tree and the straps and everything. So it's really important to try to achieve that 30-degree angle on both sides. Once you have that, your 30-degree angle, make sure your ridge line, like I said, you just want to be able to flex it a little bit, not completely straight like that, but just have a little bend in it when you're laying in it, not when you're sitting in it. You got to lay back in it and get your whole weight into the hammock and then test it. But once you got that, your 30-degree angles, your ridge line's right, then you're ready to lay back and have a comfortable night's sleep or a nice quiet nap. So to take these down, it's really simple, especially with the double-ended stuff sack. Some of the suspension types that you just unclip from here, that makes it super easy. With the cinch buckle suspension, you have to undo it from that first. So take that all the way out. I'll leave this continuous loop hanging out of the stuff sack on this end, and now I can keep the hammock off the ground, and I just go through and start stuffing it in the bag. Then just tighten up the drawstring, and now if you need to, you could just leave that hang there while you go undo the other straps, or if you're taking down your tarp or whatever you need to do, or you can go ahead and just unattach this strap from the cinch buckle. Now your hammock's put away and ready to use another day. Just take these tree straps off the tree and roll them up, and you're ready to go.